Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority, September 8th, 2020 at 6:15. Roll call, please.
Cold Iron.
Here.
Bond. Dillbeck.
Here.
Ahern.
Here.
Marshall.
Roll call,
Here.
please.
White.
Here.
Morrill.
Here.
Wines.
Here.
Streller.
Here. I do declare a quorum this evening. The invocation would be by Brian Ahern this evening. Brian?
Thank you, Mayor. Let's all pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come and gather together tonight. We ask for your hand of blessing on this meeting. We ask that you would guide and direct this meeting so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. We thank you, as always, for helping us to accomplish our work and our goals this evening. Amen.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Item number 1 is the consent agenda this evening. There's one item. It's the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Marshall.
Roll call, please.
Cold Iron.
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrill.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank you, members. Item number 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the PMA agenda this evening. Hearing none. Item number 5, proclamation, commendations, reports, inquiries by the governing body. Seeing none, hearing none. Item 6, any new business that needs to come before the authority this evening. Item number 7, motion on the adjournment.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Larry's not here? Let me know if he comes on.
Cold Iron.
Roll call, please. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrill.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank you, DC. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Perry, September 8th, 2020 at 6:17. Roll call, please.
Cold Iron.
Here.
Bond. Dillbeck.
Here.
Ahern.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
White.
Here.
Morrill.
Here.
Wines.
Here.
Streller.
Here, I do declare a quorum. And I do want to express my happiness that Jamie doesn't have any internet problems tonight.
Just kid problems. Did you just see her hop in the video real quick?
I see that mean mom look, though.
Yeah, like get out.
Okay, item number 1, the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Cold Iron.
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrill.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes, thank you. Item number 4, comments from those assembled pertaining to the items on the city agenda this evening. Hearing none. Item number 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiry by the governing body. Again, hearing none, we will move to item 6. I'm not sure if Larry is with us this evening.
He's
City.
trying to join right now.
Okay. You see him, Tyson?
I see a Samsung. But I don't see Larry.
It says he's trying to connect to audio at this point.
Well, we're not getting anything on this end. Tyson's saying nothing. All right, we'll skip back
Larry,
there.
I
Larry,
see him.
you're muted, buddy.
You see him, Tyson? I got him. I see him. Larry, are you there? You're muted. You're muted, Larry. All right, we'll come back to that.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just had some connection problems. Where are we?
City manager's report.
Okay, thank you very much. That was timely. This past weekend, we had 18 teams play in a one-day tournament at BMAC. Teams from Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Enid, Ponca City, Anadarko, and Poto were here, and some of them stayed in our hotels as well. This next Saturday and Sunday, we have a two-day tournament called the Fall Classic Tournament. This will be one of 5 more tournaments left this season, and then we're done for the year. And we do expect some of those teams to also stay in our hotels. And so,
You weren't the only one, Jamie. Any questions for Larry? Thank you, Larry. Item number 7, consider approval of an invoice to CEC Corporation in the amount of $7,000 for grant administration and bidding services on the Rehabilitate Fuel System Project. This is out at the airport.
Well, I'm ready to move on, but I don't know that Larry got done because he's locked up, I believe.
All right, well, if he comes back, we'll get back to him, Derek. Thank you.
Yep.
Item
Yeah.
7.
Motion to approve the invoice.
Second, Wines.
Roll call, please.
Kildern,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes, thank you. Item number 8, consider approval of payment for $2,590 to Callan Group Engineering LLC for the engineering services for the Tandaco Trail Project, water leak on Oto, and the wastewater valve project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Sorry, Mike.
No, that's all right. I'll take third.
Roll call, please.
Kildern,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Larry, can you hear me? You're muted.
there we go.
Okay, were you done with your comments? It looked like you got locked up.
That's a possibility. I'm having problems all over, whether it be laptop or phone. So yes, I was done. Did you hear about the Saturday and Sunday tournament for
Yes.
this weekend?
Yes, we did hear that.
Okay, that's it. I was just asking if there was any questions.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
All right,
We'll
thank
move
you.
on
Sorry
to
for
item. Don't run off right quick.
Okay.
Because I got a question for you here. Item number 9, consider approval of deduct charge change order in the amount of $30,712.60 with CP Integrity Services regarding the Camp Tandaco Trail Project. I was under the impression, Larry, that some of our staff is going to do some of this work. Is that what this is?
Yes, that's correct. We think we can do it in-house and get under or get closer to our allotted amount for this particular project.
All right. That's what that is, council members.
So that's a-
Deduct from our.
It is a deduct. We just need the approval for the change order.
I'll make the motion to approve deducting $30,712 from the Camp Tandaco Trail Project.
Second.
Second.
Marshall.
Third.
Roll call, please.
Kildern,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Item number 10, consider payment to Wesco for $13,792 for a transformer used by the Tesla supercharger. If you remember a couple of council meetings ago, some lady ran over the transformer out there at I-35. Our insurance has paid this. So we need to pay Wesco. And then our insurance will fight it out with her insurance.
Motion to approve.
Second, Cold Iron.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Cold Iron.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrill.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes, thank you. Item 11, accept a deed from Rick Seward of Lot 5, Block 76 in the Township of North and West Perry Edition with the address of 1212 Elm Street. Now, the way I understand this is it's a dilapidated piece of property, and he's offered us deed to this property. We've been doing that some rather than trying to put a lien on a piece of property. At least we will have the piece of property.
And we already did tear that down, right? According to what I read.
I don't know. We did the 730 Holly, but I don't know if we have this one. Have we tore this down, Larry?
Yes, we have. Brian, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Did we tear this property down, Brian?
Yes, this was demolished in like 2015.
Oh, okay.
A lien has been filed, and there have been some outstanding bills for quite some time that were turned over to a third-party collection agency, and so now a lot of people are getting some pretty ugly letters in the mail about past due bills. And this was just the first one that contacted us. I guess it was done underneath the father that had passed away. But in the meantime, Ricky had gained the property, and they were claiming a financial hardship. So they're trying to deed the property to us to satisfy the lien, and then we would dismiss all cost.
Brian, you know how much the lien is?
I don't have that in front of me. I know it was right around 4,000.
So just pretty much the demo cost then.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What action?
Sorry.
What action do we want to take, council?
I was just going to ask one more question.
Okay.
Do we have any, it's just another place we're going to have to mow. I know that it may not be getting mowed as it is, but do we have any ideas of what we're going to do with this?
What we've done in the past, actually what we're trying to do now is to these properties that we get back, we try to offer them to some builders in town, new builders that are looking for properties, infill lots. So if we can get one infill lot, get that one sold. So what you'll probably see is in a couple of weeks, or maybe the next meeting, or one in October, this will come up to ask permission to go out for bid and try to sell it to hopefully to a builder that will put something on that infill lot. That's the dream.
But before, I know that we've kind of, Larry, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we've got 2 or 3 of these kind of in the pipe right now.
That's correct. Yes,
I would hope. I mean, I agree with going ahead and probably acquiring them, because if we put a lien against something, we may never have anything. Period. But I hope that we can see what kind of results we've been getting from maybe someone getting some bids on these properties and seeing if we can get rid of them rather than just acquiring 20 of them.
Absolutely. We'll see that in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Okay. Does that satisfy you, Derek?
Yeah, that's
all right.
I agree
Thank
with
you.
The goal is certainly not to get any properties and us just to mow them forever in a day. That's not the goal at all.
I figured that wasn't the goal. I hope we had a plan going on. So I motion to approve.
Thank you, Derek. We have a second.
Second, Marshall.
Roll call, please.
Cold Iron.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
White. Okay. Wines. Morrill. Sorry.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Council, I would like in the near future for us to probably have to have some talks about what we need to do with some of these vacant lots in Perry anyway. So, item 12, consider ordinance number 2020-15, amending chapter 4 of the Perry Municipal Code 2020 entitled Animals, Article 1, Division 1, by the amendment of section 4-104 entitled Keeping of Livestock and Fowl Prohibited, exceptions, providing for a new subsection D, providing for a new exception to keeping of swine, namely Asian potbelly pigs, may be permitted under certain rules and regulations, providing for repeal or savings, codification, severability, penalty, and declaring an emergency. All right. This actually is something that we need to consider on what we want to do with it. It went before the Planning Commission. I don't know if we have a member of the Planning Commission on with us tonight or not. I don't see one. There was a fairly lengthy discussion about this at the Planning Commission, and it kind of got hashed around on what exactly we wanted to get done with this, and their feeling was kind of that we shouldn't do that. But it's up to us, council, on what you all would like to do. I don't know if any of y'all do remember, we've had this situation once in Perry since I've been on the council. And there was a lady that had a potbelly pig. It was her family pet for, gosh, I don't know how long. But it seemed like to me this thing was 200 or 300 pounds, and the neighbors started complaining because of the smell and the pig wallows in the yard, and so it just really turned into a bad situation because, pardon me, because the family had to get rid of their pet because we didn't allow for that, and that's the past history on what we've had.
So the new rules, they prevent that from happening, right? So if they don't keep it cleaned up and if they don't meet the expectations, then they're still subject to a fine. Am I right?
Bryce?
Yes, it's a $150 fine per day, and every day is a separate offense.
I know that nobody wants to offend anybody, but we have to make some kind of decision, council.
So the Planning Commission recommends against this. And usually they're kind of ones that come up with the guidelines. I don't know about around this kind of thing, but since they didn't have, where did we get the guidelines for this?
It's a standard potbelly pig. I mean, some are stricter, some require the pig to be less weight than 75 pounds, but pigs will get fat. And I mean, I've seen some that have not more than 40 pounds. But this is a standard provision. I had actually written this 25 years ago for another community. I think it's Enid. I think it's Enid.
Well, I never thought I'd be talking about potbelly pigs, but I'm no expert on this, but I kind of, when there's something like this in front of me, I kind of think to myself, if I was a neighbor, what would I think? And that's why I would lean to not passing this, simply because of the size of the animal, the potential for smell. You know, you have a good owner, they can take great care of it, I suppose. I'm not sure I'd want to be a neighbor to a pig in town.
The smell from a pig is no different from the smell of a dog that uses a bathroom in the backyard. I mean, if you're thinking of having a pig that's only up to 75 pounds, there's dogs in this town that are that big, and they create similar amounts of waste. So that's the smell that comes from it. It doesn't come from the pig. It comes from their waste. And if you take care of it just like you take care of your dog's waste, then there should be no smell.
Although I've grown up on a farm, and not anywhere in the recent history have we raised hogs, but whenever I was a kid, my dad raised a lot of hogs. And there's few animals that stink as bad as a hog do. I'm talking their waste. It's not comparable to a dog's waste. But then you're right. If you keep it cleaned up, it won't be a problem. But I just don't see that we need to create a situation where we got to take our code enforcement guy or animal control guy to go out and go around and make sure that we're cleaning up pig waste.
But it's only one pig. I can understand a whole bunch of pigs, but just one that's only 75 pounds.
Bill, Mr. Johnson has sent us a couple messages. Could he talk to us about what he's talking about?
I don't know who Mr. Johnson is. You got someone, Tyson, that's on? Sure. Oh, is it Eddie Johnson?
Yeah, Eddie.
Yeah, go ahead, Eddie.
Let's see here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we've got a pet, and to be quite honest with you, when I mow, it's kind of, we hit it just like we do the dogs, and we don't have a smell problem. We've had ours for over a year and a half, and no complaints from the neighbors. The neighbors enjoy it. They got two big dogs on the east side, two big dogs on the west side, and it's been a happy little family. Nobody's complained. There's no smell if it's, like I said, if it's cleaned up or if it's mowed. And we don't have a mud pit out there for it to breed more smell, to be in the mud with the defecation, for lack of better terminology. I just think it's, what I did a little research on other cities, and it came down to it's a pet. Our pig is an indoor and outdoor pig. He's in here in the evening, and he goes overnight and goes into the morning. I really can't see or have heard of anything from our neighbors, which we communicate with, that there's a problem. Somebody decided, I don't know who it was, decided to said there's a pig here, and it's not, per the city council and prefer the rules and regulations that we're not supposed to have a pig. But I'm with you, Billy. I've been around multiple pigs, and when you got multiples and you got mud pits and you let them live the way they do for slaughter, it stinks. But we haven't had that problem here. That's all I had to say. And I checked on the internet, and this has been a problem with other cities, and in most cases they treated the pigs as pets, not livestock.
Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate you coming on and having that discussion with us, but thanks for letting us know you're in violation. I'm just kidding, Eddie. There's a Mr. Daughtery. He's on with us. If you would like to say something, just the history, he come to the planning commission meeting, and they live, I believe, in Covington, and they have two pigs. And we're wishing to move to Perry, but as the way the ordinance reads, it's only one. But maybe you could help us in some information that we should have as a council, sir.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Would you like for me to provide, do my research and provide it to you?
I was talking to Mr. Daughtery, Eddie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll time out.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm here. So we've had our pigs for one for 3 years and one for 2. They weigh right around 70 and one's 70 and one's around 60, and they're smaller than my 55-pound dog. And we're really good about keeping the yard picked up and mowed. I've been working in Perry for about 2 years, and so we want to move there. But I know the ordinance now says 1. I want to say when they originally talked about it, it was around, I thought it was 2 pigs, but that was one of the things that came up in the planning commission, was that they do better in pairs of 2, and I'm not sure where it got changed to 1 at, but if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, whatever you guys have. So
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Any input from the rest of the council?
Bryce, and the other communities that you represent, do all of them allow potbelly pigs?
No, I wouldn't say that all of them do, but Enid does. Brian, are you on? You're still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you familiar with that?
In my time there, the potbelly pig question never came up. We had a lot of people that wanted livestock, and that was not allowed. But
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that that's where this ordinance came from, and they addressed it. And what's interesting is that that Brian doesn't know about it. He worked code in Enid, so you would think that that had it been a problem, it would have come up. But no, this is really this comes up when there's owners of potbelly pigs, when they're discovered, and then then the issue comes to the city council. So I remember Enid. I don't know that I have any other community. I do know that up in Tonkawa, they had somebody keeping goats, and they were little miniature goats, and they were yoga goats. Apparently, goats do yoga with you or something. I know that's something out in California.
Yeah, I was going to say, surely, Bryce, you've been in California. Surely you know about this.
Well, I've never done yoga. I have, but I've never done yoga with a goat. But they stopped that. They saw that as livestock and saw that as an issue. But many people think my best friend in California actually lives in a $3.5 million home in Fullerton, California, and she has a full-blown 800-pound pig. If you've seen it on my Facebook page. So, and I mean, that's in a really nice house. She has just a giant pig that's behind a gate, and she brings it fresh vegetables. So that's everything I know. I'm not much of a farmer, or a rancher, so I don't know a lot, but that's what I know about them.
I'll add one more. I believe it was Larry passed me the code in Stillwater, and from what I read into that is that it does not necessarily allow them, but it doesn't implicitly say you can't have them either. So people in Stillwater may have them, and the same thing arises there, but they're not saying you can't.
The other thing I can say is today we had a conversation with Richard Tyler, who, I represent Blackwell, but I've never had this issue in Blackwell, but Richard Tyler was a police officer there. And he said in Blackwell, you can have anything at your residence. So they allow livestock, all of it. They don't allow big pigs. So, that's at least on your communities along I-35. Blackwell is liberal. Tonkawa, when it came to yoga goats, little miniature yoga goats, is strict, and we allow livestock based on the size of your property. I mean, you can have certain types of livestock if you have large property, and of course on agricultural property. You can see it in this ordinance. If you can have a horse or cattle in a pen not less than 40,000 square feet. The places where you could have a livestock are set out here under subsection C.
I think that's
Fort Worth, and I had all kinds of friends that had a potbelly pig. I mean, I for a pet inside their home, and I mean that was inside a big city, and they were just seen as dogs, not really as a pig. Of course, obviously they weren't the big ones that you were going to eat or anything like that. They're more like what Dylan was talking about, or Eddie, that are a medium-sized dog, but weigh a little bit more. But I can remember as long as living in a city that they were allowed and they were there. So they weren't allowed to have chickens or anything like that, but they could have a potbelly pig.
Our animal control officer couldn't be on tonight, but he and I did speak several weeks back whenever I was trying to gather information. And there's a pamphlet, I believe, and you guys' handout, and I just wanted to reference that. I think Dylan or Mr. Doherty had referenced this a few moments ago, but there seems to be a pretty common theme running that if the council did decide to pass this tonight, that I think you should really consider possibly doing this with a pair. The only reason that I say that is because there was a lot of warning that if you leave these pigs on their own, they can become aggressive because they're just not meant to be individual pigs. I guess they're supposed to have, I don't know if the term is mate or partners but I just wanted to point to that for everybody's reference.
Bryce, would it be inappropriate to, if we pass the ordinance, to ask that you register your pigs? That was, let me back up a second. It says in that pamphlet that these the pigs should be registered. I believe they were talking about that in the Planning Commission. Mr. Daugherty was talking about that a little bit at the Planning Commission also. But would it be inappropriate for, if you have a pig, to have it registered with either our animal control or have it registered at City Hall?
Yeah, subsection DE provides for that annual registration
But is that with
animal control department?
Okay.
Yeah. I've also seen these ordinances, because I did look at other ones. Some were shorter, some were longer. Some provided that you had to get the written consent of your abutting neighbors. I don't really like necessarily like those kinds of provisions, because you could have great pigs or great dogs and your neighbors could be jerks and say forget it. But that is something that I saw in a couple of the other ordinances that I'd looked for. The other reason that I don't like that is, some cities have that in their zoning laws. You can do this as long as you've got permission from your abutting property owners. And I don't think it's really zoning, planning, land use laws, which this is all part of, should come from your next door neighbors. It should come down from the city council. It's a police regulation, and they should determine what it is, and you shouldn't rise or fall on your neighbor. But I will point that out, that I did find some that had that provision.
Can I ask one more question? And it is to Bryce, but I want to ask it in front of you guys. Since he threw me under the bus and said that I used to enforce this over in Enid, two things. One, our animal control officers did that, Bryce, so I didn't look at this all that often unless it got really out of hand. But number two, so I had to look really quickly. And I do remember there being a term that specifically applied to pot-bellied pigs. Not only do they have to be, there in Enid, did they have to be registered with animal control, but as well as, I think they called it a bona fide pig registry, because there are national registries for these.
Yeah, I think that's in that pamphlet too. They talk about that. I'm not saying that's what we do here, but that you're correct on.
Brian, that's a good idea though, because how do you know if it truly is a potbelly pig or?
Yeah, that's good.
I think Eddie has a good question too, and just want to make sure, Brian, what you were saying about the two pigs, you're not saying that you have to have two pigs, but if we pass this, instead of saying one pig, you're saying it's okay if your suggestion is that it can be up to two potbelly pigs.
That would be my suggestion from everything that I've seen. They function more well, I guess they are meant to function like as a pair.
But you're not saying Eddie has to go out and buy a second pig if we pass
No,
this?
no.
I'm okay with this. The reason I'm okay with this is, first of all, our town is surrounded by agriculture already, and to think that some people don't have these kinds of animals in town already, that's kind of crazy. Only thing this really means is that it could be regulated. They'd have to be responsible for what they own. They'd have to be responsible for cleaning, registering, shot records, just like any other pet. A lot of times when things come up that are new, I think we hesitate to pass things because they're different. But I also hear people all the time say, well, we can't do anything. We shoot down everything. And maybe we don't shoot down everything, but we do tell people more what they can't do than what they can do. And I would like to see people actually get something, in their way every once in a while. I really don't see any problem with it as long as they're responsible with it.
I'll add my 2 cents real quick that I think, I see both sides, like what Mr. Ahern said and Curtis and everybody else, that, thinking about the neighbor, will they like it or will they not? And then, what Bryce said. And but I also see that we may have a new family moving to town if this was to pass. I see some positives and I see some negatives out of it both. So I don't know for sure what's best, but that's my 2 cents.
I have drafted it.
Go ahead,
I
James.
have drafted an amendment consistent with what you've been saying. Subsection DD would become 2, Asian potbelly pigs, and subsection E. Based on what you said, the second line that any person who owns or has charge, care, custody, or possession or control of any Asian potbelly pig over the age of 6 months old shall register it, and it shall be certified as an Asian potbelly pig by National Registry, and further it shall be registered annually with the Animal Control Department. So, if you wanted to do that, those would be the those could be considered as the amendments.
Eddie, do you know anything about registering your pig, or is it already registered?
You just know that. Sorry, I had to unmute there. No, we didn't have any registration process that we knew of. It was my wife bought it at a wiener dog race. And she saw the mom and dad laying there with it and had to buy it. So we were just sitting here talking before you asked me, Bill. I don't know. I'm sure there is, but I think most of your potbelly pigs out there that they're not coming with papers. And what'd you say on the shots?
It has. Oh, I'm sorry.
Have it anymore after he got fixed.
No more. Okay, I'll have to look into it. But she said the vet told her no more shots other than when the pig was fixed.
Yeah. That's
all right. All right, I'm gonna ask Dylan about this, but Eddie, you need to quit letting your wife go to wiener dog races. Dylan, you said something in the meeting with at the planning commission about you thought you could register your pigs.
Yes, I believe there's an online registry. It's like with the National Pig Association or something along those guidelines. My wife knows a lot more about it. But I'm pretty sure you can get on there and register them and then go from there and register with you guys too. So I think you can do both fairly easily.
All right, Eddie, that may be something that you and your wife should look into if this passes, or maybe you can we can get you with Dylan, and maybe they can tell you where they got that information.
If it helps us automate the process, is that something we could put link on the website and whatnot too, if this were to pass?
I'm sure.
I think we can arrange that.
It's actually a little bit simpler than that. It's just the National Swine Registry.
Okay, so it's not like having certified Angus cattle or anything like that.
Nope, nothing like that.
Okay, thank you.
Would we be able to get what the city needs to be registered pig within the city?
The only thing that you wouldn't be able to do is verify the weight, which I know was part of this ordinance as well. So they would have to come up with another option for that.
Isn't that why the weight was put in there anyways? I mean, that way, if it was hard to register it as something like that and get proper paperwork, at least you had a backup plan by having that in place.
I don't think the weight was intended for that. The weight was more intended just so you don't have a 200-pound hog out in your backyard. I don't think that. I mean, it's all in a feeding program. I don't think it matters what kind of hog it is. And these two people that own these hogs, I know that through past history, and Eddie knows. I know Eddie's history some. If you feed a hog, they're going to get big. And so I'm sure you have to have a pretty strict diet for these guys. But I would also, I don't know, Bryce and Larry, who would be challenged with this, but I think we should, not saying that Eddie's not telling the truth. Eddie, that's not what I'm saying at all. But we should contact a veterinarian ourselves and find out if there should be annual shots of some kind for these type of animals in the city limits.
If
We can do
I
that.
may, sorry to interrupt if I did.
Yeah, go ahead.
But, I know that they have yearly rabies shots, rabies
Yeah,
vaccination,
Rabies.
and yes, yearly rabies, and then I believe there's one more, and I don't know if it matters, but ours are up to date on all of those. So.
Yeah. Well, I just want from the city side for us to get that information ourselves, so we get it straight from a licensed veterinarian.
We can do that. Yes, sir.
And I agree with that too. I was just going off memory from 2 years ago that my wife had. So if there's more shots, I agree with that too.
It's a long time back, Eddie, to remember.
If our concern is making sure that obviously the smell is kept under control, I mean, I'm sure that we put everything in that we can, but is there anything that is there anything that you could put in here so if the smell does get out of control or people aren't taking care of that there's something that can be done? Or do you feel like we've put everything that we can to on that last one about keeping the area clean and confining them and things like that, taking care of them?
Well, I incorporated by reference all the outdoor shelter requirements. Let me see, the requirements placed on dogs concerning, why don't we add something concerning outdoor shelters? Let's not provide a limitation. If kept outside, all the requirements placed on owners of dogs shall be followed. In fact, we don't even need concerning outdoor shelters. That's the last part of it. Shall be followed in such ordinances are incorporated by reference. That would include outdoor shelters, keeping it clean, keeping, it all the food, if you're going to keep that outside in a container that's airproof, fly-proof. Yeah, that would be a good change, and I can make that. I don't think you need to restate them if you've incorporated them by reference.
I was kidding Bryce the other day about how you have a fly-proof container.
I think that's important because I'm sure that's what everybody's worried about or even just the words when, if Dylan said he was moving here with 2 pigs, I'm sure his neighbors, are gonna be like, oh my God, what does that mean? But really, if you do take care of them like a dog, like they're meant to be when they're housebroken like that, then it shouldn't be a problem.
We have nuisance provisions. We have smell provisions. We have a really good animal control officer that moved here from California. It's real professional. If you choose to pass it, I mean, we could stay on top of it.
In the adjustments that you made, Bryce, did I hear
Yes.
you say to up it to 2 instead of
Yes,
just
well,
1?
that's what was discussed. So if you said to approve the ordinance with the amendments discussed by the city attorney, that would include from 1 to 2. It would include this registration with the National Swine Registry, and it would include scratching out the words outdoor shelter and make all the requirements concerning dogs applicable to pigs if the pigs are going to be outdoors.
Now, the only other thing I'll add is that at some point, I mean, where is this line of a pet? And I don't want to offend anybody that loves llamas or hippopotamuses, but you know what? The next person that has a llama or hippopotamus as a pet, you know what? Where is that line? I know that sounds ridiculous, but
I think it's a great question, Derek.
Actually, I'm waiting for the person that has a therapy elephant.
that's kind of where I was going.
Hey, we just come home from Florida, and there was a lady on a surfboard that had a therapy monkey. So you know, we kid about this, but there really are those animals, you know. And I don't think we can. If it's called a therapy animal, I don't think there's a thing we can do about it. I may be wrong, Bryce, but I know it's not what the intent of what Derek was saying.
Is whether it's a therapy, is it therapy animal or is it an emotional support animal?
This monkey was an emotional support monkey.
Okay, then the city can say you can't have it if it's an emotional support and not an actual therapy animal.
Is that accurate, Bryce?
Yeah, that's well, I mean, I haven't checked on monkeys, but you know, if it reaches the point where it's emotional support animal, then the person that has it is considered a disabled person under ADA, and if they need that emotional support animal as a part of their therapy and a part of their disability, you know, I know that I know it with dogs. I've never checked it with monkeys or other animals. I don't even know that. I mean, that's pretty crazy that you can certify a monkey as a emotional support animal. What about a snake? You know, but I don't really know that. I have read the law on emotional support animals because we've had to adopt something referencing the library. So I have looked at that state law. But I've never looked at other animals other than dogs. I mean, normally it's a dog.
Yeah. Well, the concern I have with what you were just saying is if the pig's going to be inside, you're going to change our ordinance in case the pig's outside. These two gentlemen that own these hogs, if you guys might be able to help, but if those hogs are exclusively, and I shouldn't say hogs, I should say pigs. If these pigs are outside, will they become destructive, or is it something that people should keep into the house most of the time, or we just have pigs in the backyard?
I can, in our short history with it, it's we've been fortunate. The pigs been fine. The only thing that's really nuisance is when all the dogs on both sides of our house and the pig are outside running up and down the fence chasing each other. One thing you want to do is definitely make sure your fence is tied up, because they're a burrowing type critter. And they get out there. But we've been fortunate here. We just had no more than a dog digging along spots. And I think it's through their competitiveness, racing back and forth, acting like they want to get at each other. But it's like 2 years, and we got chain link fence on each side. Haven't had a problem. So I think one thing you want to be careful of is making sure that your fences are tight so that they don't get out. and then somebody calls and, then we got a problem trying to track it down and get it back.
I think we were talking about, a few minutes ago, Derek was asking, well, where's the line at? And I understand that and I see it. But I also, I'm looking at this like, even with this passed, you're not going to see every other household have a pig.
Right.
You're not going to see this in every neighborhood. Even if it is passed, you won't see that because a lot of people, they don't want to own one. And the other thing is that I think we're looking at is, can this be controlled or maybe not controlled, but owned responsibly? And can it be something that can be practical? And I think we've kind of answered that. So wherever the line is, that if it's something that can't be taken care of in town and you can't control what we're talking about, then that's probably where the line will be.
Well, my concern about talking about whether it's going to be indoors or outdoors is that if the hog gets in, or the pig gets in the backyard and starts rooting around and dig some holes, it's just natural nature of that animal. When it rains or in the winter, whatever the scenario is, it's just going to dig bigger holes, and then before long it becomes better known as a pig wallow. And so that was my concern, and I don't know if that was your intent, Bryce, when you talked about outside or inside. Should we? I don't know. It's for me. It's a tough subject to just say I have a backyard that basically could turn into, for lack of terms, a pig pen. And I know that we have these ordinances that would protect that, but still, it's a tough scenario.
If anybody wanted to take a look if at our yard, for example, I don't know if you're for sure going to vote tonight or whatnot, but it's open to take a look at. We haven't had those issues, and our pig is in pretty much when we're home.
Well, yeah, that's what I was talking about, Eddie. If it's in the house most of the time, and I'm sure Dylan, you guys probably keep yours inside too.
Yes, sir. And I can agree with him that we don't have that kind of issue. I mean, when it rains, you kind of occasionally get a couple muddy footprints, but as far as wallows and holes and things holding water, we haven't had that problem.
But I'm assuming you guys can understand what I'm saying. If someone has some of these and they just leave them out in the backyard all the time.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you have that issue with dogs too. I'd say if the dog is outside 24/7 and running around and stomping around, you're going to have a muddy backyard. So that's my kind of opinion on it.
Well, I agree, but I don't know many dogs that's going to dig a hog wall and roll in the pond that they create.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's just up to the owners. I mean, we've had when some rains and then he gets out there and digs. We just get him a spot, provide him a spot away from the fences, and he has one spot and he keeps going to it. I mean, if we had a problem with it on the fences, when we'd have to readdress having the pig. If he's putting in like you're talking about, Bill, a normal hog waller. It's more like a baby bath in pig terms.
Bryce, was this covered a while ago when we talked about having the same rules as dogs as far as the nuisance laws and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think so. The important things are vaccination, rabies vaccination, keeping the pigs indoor, that it's confined, that it's not permitted to get out. And then with the change I made at the end, we're going to scratch out just outdoor shelters, and we're going to say all the requirements placed on owners of dogs, including but not limited to, and I put down requiring sanitary conditions and outdoor shelters. So, I mean, those are the two of the major ones. And there's very, very detailed regulations on dogs. So, I'll probably track that article right there, but it will be exactly as I've said.
I think Derek's right. I think he said earlier that. Sorry, hold on.
That sounds like an adult
Thinks
there,
he gets
Jamie.
the vote. He doesn't get the vote. And what I was going to say is I think Curtis is right. We do live in an ag community, and I think we have, now I got a dog issue. This is why I don't get on camera, Bill, right here. So, but what I was going to say was we are part of an ag community. We have FFA kids here. You know, I do think that if it's a lot in different cities, I think we should consider it. But at the same time, I understand where Derek's going. We do have to watch how far we let this. I mean, the next thing that we're going to be talking about is ducks. So I think we do have to understand where our limits are at. And I'm sure at some point somebody's going to be back on here. I hope it's not myself talking about Pekingese goats and things like that, because they are becoming popular as dogs and pets also. And I can see people come to us about that too. But we have to remember we are in a rural community. We have kids that are being raised in this environment, which is great. But we have to decide what's right when you're inside city limits also.
I just thought of one more question, and I don't know requirements on pigs and things, but as you were talking, Jamie, I saw Brian's face also, which made me think. What about people downtown? I know they can have dogs, but pigs, what are the requirements on them being able to go out? And you know, if you don't actually have a yard, what are the situations there?
I'm sure it's the same as it would be for a dog. I mean, you have to clean up after it. Put it on a leash.
I think it's funny. Danette actually mentioned that we have harnesses and leads for our pigs. I can't say we've taken them on too many walks or anything like that, but I'm sure somebody will try it. But
Do you guys, Eddie and Dylan, though, do you feel they need a yard to make it easily, or is it something that could work just like a dog?
I think it would be difficult without a yard, but I haven't given it much thought. But one thing I can say on their behalf is they at least in our case, our pig never went in the house. He trained himself, and we let him out, and from that day on, he's never had a mess in the house, for what that's worth.
I've lived with my pigs in an apartment style setting, and they're actually very easily litter box trained. And we had them litter box trained to where they were good with that. And they did really well with that. So I think it's possible.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All right, council. We could sit here all night probably. We have another issue coming up pretty quickly. And so we probably ought to move on from this one.
This is animal back.
I have one more question. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
How many pets are we allowed to have? And would the pig be counted as a pet? Because right now it's just like cats and dogs.
Chickens.
Which you have to. Well, you can have 5 chickens. Does that mean you can't have any dogs and cats?
No,
Or-
I think that's a really good question. You know, there's I think in Perry you can have a total of 4 dogs or cats.
Right, there is a limit on that.
Yeah, we would have to come in to that ordinance and add pigs back. Yeah, if this passed, we would bring that back because that would be too many pets. And so I suppose the 2 pigs could substitute as part of the 4. You know, I can look that up real quick.
So
One pig equals 2 dogs.
You can have any number of animals. Hold on, let me find that for you real quick.
Limit of 2 pigs, but you could have 2 more cat or dog.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
So a total of 4, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, let me look. Let me find that.
Mr. Meacham, you are being totally silent tonight.
Well, I didn't really have much to offer on potbelly pigs. I've never owned one. I've never really had any to do with them. I have sat through plenty of these conversations, though, over the years. And as Bryce mentioned, you know, there with the communities we work in, we've seen a lot of ordinances over the years, and even those outside of those that Bryce works with. And it always comes up to be a hot topic, and people want their potbelly pigs, and most of the time they end up with them. I'll just tell you that from I think of 2 other communities that I know have those on board and have ordinances allowing that to happen.
Well, the other question I have for you before you go silent, as many times as Bryce has been to California, can you believe that he has not participated in goat yoga?
I'm a little disappointed in no goat yoga from Bryce. I'm thinking we might need to have like a goat yoga day, maybe even a video of goat yoga, Bryce, especially on his Facebook page. I think that'd be a great spot for it. Would be for him to show us what goat yoga is.
I really can't believe that Jill hasn't participated in that.
No,
That's
I
the one.
think she, no, I think she
I'm sure
has.
Jill
To
has.
tell you the truth.
I would think Jill has.
No, I'm thinking she has too. It is a total of 4. So we're going to have to come back and amend that ordinance. So we would add the language, pigs could make up that 4. And Councilman Marshall, that was a really good call. I mean, because that would be that would be an issue immediately.
Yes, thank you, Danette.
And that doesn't pertain to, I'm sorry, Derek, but Bryce, that won't pertain to the chicken issue, or if we pass on to the duck issue.
No.
So
I mean, we haven't done that. This thing says number of dogs and cats permitted. No person shall harbor or keep more than a total of 4 dogs and cats aggregate over the age of 6 months in any household. Because of course, if you have a male pig and if they have babies, then I mean you're gonna have some piglets. That's all gonna work out. It's just like dogs and cats. Over that you can operate a kennel, but that's in a commercial district. So I figure, what we would add number of dogs, cats, and pigs. I mean, those are big animals. Those are the ones that are meant to be governed by this provision. I have never seen anybody include chickens, and ducks is a new one for me, although there are, we'll be talking about that in a minute, there are a few cities that permit ducks. And I've looked up duck eggs and the frequency of ducks having duck eggs, and it could be as frequent as chickens, but that's the next topic. So you can have ducks for duck eggs.
Since we have them, can I ask Eddie and Dylan, does this affect you? Do you have more than 4 pigs, cats, and dogs total aggregate?
I do not. I have 3 total, so I would be.
We had 4 and we lost 1, so we're down to 3.
Okay.
All right, council. Snow's going to start flying.
Motion to approve with the amendments mentioned by the city attorney.
Second.
Any further discussion? I'm scared to ask that question, but
Dylan, are you moving to Perry?
I'm sorry, corrected it.
She asked if you were moving to Perry if we pass this.
If it gets approved and everything works out, then yeah, we'd love to.
Okay, roll call, Dixie, please.
Goldern,
Yes.
Dillbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
No.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Thank you, council. Getting feedback from somewhere. All right. We are going to move on to
Hang on. Emergency.
Oh, okay. Motion on emergency. Thank you, Dixie.
So moved.
Second, Marshall.
Roll call, please.
Coldarn.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Thank you. Now we'll go to item 13. Consider approval of ordinance number 2020-18 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 4 of the Perry Municipal Code 2020 by the amendment of Section 4-104 by eliminating the definition of game foul and by the addition of a new Section D providing for the foul exception. By the amendment of Section 4-104A entitled Hobby Chickens and Pet Ducks, providing for regulations concerning pet ducks within the city of Perry, Oklahoma, providing for repealer savings, codification, severability, penalty, and declaring an emergency. So apparently we have someone that's wanting to bring ducks into the city limits. And so now we need to have this discussion. Eddie, you don't-
I'd like to point out that we did clean up a few things. We talked about game foul. We've eliminated that term, and we just talk about, basically foul for purposes of this ordinance. Then I added back an exception that caged fowl, you of course can have parrots and canaries and that, which, you could say you have those because those aren't game fowl, but I think it just reads better. And then what we did is we defined ducks, and then we just took the hobby chicken ordinance that we had, and we made it applicable to both hobby chickens and ducks. The whole issue then became about confining them, which, ducks don't like to be confined all that much. And then we provided a small pool or other body of water, a swimming pool, so that the ducks would have that. This is one of those ordinances where there weren't a whole lot of examples, okay? And I mean, I searched the world for examples. They do allow them in like Massachusetts in certain cities, and they allow them in Minnesota and places around bodies of water out by the ocean. I did find, but there just really wasn't a duck ordinance. I did find out, as I said before, that they do lay a lot of eggs, and so a person could have ducks for laying eggs. They are noisier than chickens, but I suppose somebody could want to have them for laying of eggs, or have them as pets. So on this one, I did the best that I could. There weren't a lot of examples, but I think that it works like hobby chickens, pet ducks, and we'll see what everyone thinks.
Council?
Why are they pet ducks and not hobby ducks?
Oh, it was just for another word. I just thought it was kind of cute. You define them. You define what they are, and I thought it was kind of funny.
Well, if it's pet ducks, would they fall under the pet category and be, you can only have 4 if it's a pet?
No, I don't have those tied to that particular regulation. Only applies to cats and dogs. The 4 only applies to cats and dogs. After tonight, we're going to bring back an ordinance making it also apply to pigs. But it doesn't apply to hobby chickens, and I'm not going to recommend that we apply it to pet ducks, or if you want to call them hobby ducks. But it was just for a term.
Jeanette, would you prefer hobby ducks?
Well, go ahead, Danette.
I was just saying, I don't think that they're pets. Like, I guess some people think they're pets, but I thought that they were getting them for their eggs, so it would be the same as the chickens. It's a hobby to have your own duck eggs, I guess.
And we can certainly change that, you know?
Make that part of the ordinance if there is one?
Yeah.
Or the motion?
Yeah, I certainly have no.
Unless you have male ducks.
Those are drakes.
Are they drakes?
Those are drakes.
So, can you tell them apart? I mean, I'm not a duck guy. I don't know. So if you go get these little ducks, my mother-in-law thought it was real cute one time. They got my kids 2 ducks, and I don't know how you tell them apart. So that'd be pet ducks to me if they were males. But the concern, I mean, it's not a fall on the sword issue for me, but a couple concerns that I have, and would be ducks can be a lot meaner than chickens.
No.
And well, I've been around ducks in my life, and in my opinion, yes. Then also, we don't allow roosters in town for noise control. And like Bryce stated a while ago, ducks are a lot noisier than just regular chickens.
I think Jennifer is wanting to say something about this. She was in the audience.
Yeah, I do have a comment from her. Jennifer, if you would like to speak, you're more than welcome to.
Sorry, guys. My computer is weird. I do have 4 ducks in my backyard. They are my egg layers. I use them pretty strictly for that. They are kind of they're also my pest control. They eat a lot of the stuff that I don't want in my backyard for sure. The snakes, the spiders, the yuckiness, the crickets, that kind of thing. I have 2 currently that are laying. I get about 2 to 3, maybe 4 if I'm lucky, eggs a day. So right now I'm swimming in eggs. But if you guys, any questions, I'd be happy to ask or be happy to answer.
Jennifer, you bought the dogs or the ducks. I'm sorry, we're talking about dogs a lot. You bought the ducks from here in town, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. We got them up there at Tractor Supply.
How long have you had your ducks?
We bought the first 2. Oh my goodness. It would have been in March, February, March timeframe. And then we bought 2 more a couple 3 months ago or so. But we've had them since February. Sorry.
Hey, Bryson, those nuisance laws you were talking about earlier, does that include, like, if one's barking a lot, or, what do they do about that kind of thing?
Well, you can't disturb the peace.
Now, I know just with
can't,
ours,
you can't create a nuisance.
our coop is right underneath our bedroom window practically. It's right there on our back porch. They sleep in there at night. They graze during the day. We don't hear them until, I'm not kidding, my alarm clock is 7 o'clock every morning, and that is my girls telling me it's time for them to have breakfast. And then they squawk for just a second. They get fed, they're done. And they're not really, I don't want to say squawk, they just kind of, they tweet is the best way to put it. They really don't, they're not loud. Is the best way. It's hard to describe. Sorry.
I think we just approved pigs, and they make noises and do things too. I think the same thing about the ducks, and we allow people, 5 chickens. I don't see a huge difference between chickens and ducks, to tell you the truth. And a lot of people, it's fair time, and there's going to be people showing their ducks and their ducks and their chickens, and I just think this should fall under the same thing.
And again, with the number, could you have 5 chickens and 5 ducks, or a total of
No.
5 chickens and ducks?
No, it's either.
And I'll be honest, I have the 4, and I would not have any more than 4. 4 is that's a good number. That's a real good number.
Yeah, that section is in 4-104A. Not more than 5 hobby chickens or pet ducks. So it's an or. I suppose you could have a combination. Maybe kept per residential tract.
And they also have to be registered, it says, right?
No, you can just have them.
Well, I thought, isn't that what item B says? The initial fee to be charged for registration or shall be $25.
You come in one time, you pay a fee. Yeah, I'm sorry. You come in one time, you pay a fee. Thereafter, there is not anything. But at least it lets us know where they are.
But pigs are annually, is the difference.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the registration.
I guess what's worrying me about this now is I don't know how many animals I'm going to have to get here pretty soon with my kids.
Derek, send them over my way. They can watch mine.
I have 4 dogs. I think that we should make an ordinance that it can only be 3.
1.
Jeff says 1.
Chappelle said we'd take your extra.
Bryce, is there anything that would need to be in here about keeping these clean? I mean,
Yeah, it's under the same requirements as the chickens. So you've got them confined. You got maintenance of the coop, clean and sanitary conditions at all time, insecticide used, shelter and drainage, disposal of litter and droppings. Yeah, it all applies. The same thing that applies to chickens applies to ducks.
With the additional water, right? Some sort of little pond.
With the addition, that's the addition. The ponds, some kind of water feature.
Okay.
And all we have is just a little cheapy pool from the dollar store they absolutely love.
Right.
Now, Bryce, the way I read this ordinance, maybe I'm wrong,
Maybe not right.
but
Go ahead.
do they have to be in a coop,
Go
or
ahead.
can they just be allowed to free graze in the backyard all day and then pin them up in the evening? Because the way I read it, they have to be in a coop.
Um,
And I'm not saying one way or the other. I just want a definition.
Just my opinion, to get the eggs, they're going to have to be in a coop for the eggs, but then you do want them to be able to graze and whatnot as well. So I think that's where Bill's coming from.
It says every keeper of chickens shall confine the same to prevent running at large.
yeah, where do you see that, Bill?
G. And then you go down to item B. Let's see. I'm sorry, Bryce. What?
It's 2A.
It's 4, section 4, 104A. You go down to G, and then it's like section B under that.
Yeah.
And then also in 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? They'd be confined in a coop?
Now, you've got both. You know, they've got to be confined to prevent their running at large. Then you say each coop or enclosure shall be maintained. I mean, no. I mean, if you have a fence around your property, you can, you can allow them out. They don't have to be trapped in a coop all day. Now, if I need to make an amendment here, of course, we have the same rule for hobby chickens.
Well, I believe it would be unhealthy.
Shall be confined in a chicken coop or other enclosure. An enclosure can mean a fence.
Yeah,
So
because I believe it would be unhealthy for them to
Yeah.
be confined at all times. Jennifer, is there a problem with these ducks flying out of your yard?
No, sir. Luckily we got them young enough to where they never learned to fly, and even on windy days they don't fly at all. At all. They'll flap their wings, but they can't kick up.
Okay, Bryce. Let's see where this is at. In the beginning of your ordinance, under above section 4-104A, it says D, exceptions for otherwise provided. It talks about it. It talks about it. For purpose of this article, the term fowl shall mean chickens, geese, ducks, turkeys, swans, and guineas. Each one of those would have to be approved individually, correct? We're not approving all of those.
yeah, fowl are not permitted. You know,
Okay.
all we're permitting is chickens, and with this ordinance, we're permitting ducks, but we're also permitting excluded from the definition of fowl are these cage birds. So, I mean, I tried to do a better job of with definitions in this ordinance in talking about fowl, kind of defining it better.
All right, I just want to make sure what that said.
Yeah, only pet ducks. And we're providing an exception for cage birds, but I think that's, that was probably implied because cage birds aren't game fowl and they're kept inside the house. And so, there's really no issue. But I provided this because I saw it in other ordinances that I looked at, and I thought it was good, something good to stick in this ordinance.
Council?
I do think that the issue about pet ducks, changing that to hobby ducks, I do think that's a good idea. If you approve.
I do have one further question, Bryce. If this is passed tonight, will it wipe any penalties any citizens have got away?
Yeah. Yes, it will.
What would you like to do, council?
I'd like to make the motion to approve.
And Curtis, is that with changing the word
Yes.
pet to hobby?
Yes.
Second, Marshall.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Coldarn.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrill.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Motion on emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Coldarn.
Yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrill.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. We will now be moving to item 14, I believe. Yes, item 14. Consider sale of a parcel number 4 in the Perry Industrial Park to Green Farms Company, LLC. Green Farms is the organization that was housed or is housed maybe out in Richard Crow's old R&N concrete building. And for whatever reason, that organization wishes to buy a piece of property in our industrial park now. So the piece of property is, if you go from that corner there by the ball field, if you go on the west to the top of the hill, where that road turns and goes south into our commercial park or industrial park, it would be the piece of property on the left, which would be right across the road to the east from Mr. Tovar's electric company he's got there. And the way I understand it, that it's just short, it's like 4.99 acres or something. It's basically 5 acres. The way I've understood that they do agree to pay $10,000 an acre. And if you look in under item 14, it does say, I believe on the last page, it's like $49,900 for that piece of property. Larry, do you have any input on this situation?
Amy, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Mayor, this is, and council, this is Amy Isom, who's the regulatory project manager for Green Farms LLC. And my understanding, Amy, is that you're wanting to use this for future storage, correct?
Yes, we'd really like to be able to have some more space next to kind of where we are so that we can have a little more growth potential there, whether it's for more storage for our biomass coming in, adding to our manufacturing capacity, adding packaging, things like that in. And so we just wanted to have a bit more growth out there.
Okay, thank you.
And this is abutting the west end of that property that you currently own. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct, Derek. There's 2 lots between that. 2 or maybe 3 between that.
Okay.
So, Amy, you guys will still be housed in the Richard Crow facility. Is that accurate?
That is our current plan.
Okay. So we should, council, we just want to consider this this action on selling this piece of property.
Did the council get a plat of what property we're talking about? I want to make sure everybody knows. Derek?
I don't think it was in the packet that
Okay.
I saw.
Well, everybody knows where the industrial road that we had made meets Fur. So if you were headed south down that industrial road, it would be the lot to your left.
Left. I just stated that, Bryce.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, and what I didn't know is if that abutted their property. That's the reason why I asked.
Right.
So there is
Okay.
one in between.
I think
Yes,
two.
That's correct. There are two lots in between.
Two.
Yeah.
I guess they're already
There's
owned.
two lots on Fur. There's another lot south of the one that 3S owns.
3S owns one Derek in there that kind of, I believe, runs in an L shape, and then I can't remember who it is that owns the one right next door to the R&N facility. Dixie, you got that on your wall in
Well,
there. Who is that,
R&N
Dixie?
owns that.
Yes, that's correct. R&N owns 20 acres there. Next to R&N, as you go west, it's 3S.
3S,
And
okay.
then would be this property.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just excited that we have the opportunity to sell another piece of property, Council.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate your patience with us as we work through potbelly pigs and ducks.
Thank you guys. It was nice sitting in and kind of learning about it and listening to what you guys are doing.
We're excited that you guys are here.
Yes, I agree. Make a motion to approve the sale of parcel number 4 in the Perry Industrial Park to Green Farms.
Second, Dilbeck.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Hildarn,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes. Thank you, Council. Item number 15, authorize the city clerk to advertise for bids for the following parcels: 730 Holly, a minimum bid accepted is $8,100, and B, 1120 Delaware, the minimum bid accepted is $1,000, which properties are deemed surplus properties not necessary for any municipal purpose. These are some properties that we've had and been demolished, and we're trying to recoup our money back out of that. We talked about earlier about acquiring some of these properties in the future.
Motion to approve the authorized for bids.
Second, Wines.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Hildarn,
Yes.
Dilbeck,
Yes.
Ahern,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Streller.
Yes, thank you. Item 16, ratify submission of a grant application for the Oklahoma Electric Vehicle Charging Grant Program. I'm going to turn this over to our city clerk. Dixie's been working very hard on this, and I think it would be appropriate for her to lead our discussion.
Sure, I'd be glad to. This grant opportunity, it's money that the state received from a Volkswagen settlement back when there was some Volkswagen emission issues, and this was part of that settlement money. This is actually the second round of the grant. It opened up a year ago. Each time it's opened up, they've given us a very limited amount of time to apply. And if you don't already own the property that fits all the parameters, it's very hard to get it all done in the limited amount of time you have. I tried last year, could not come to an agreement quick enough with any property owners that met the parameters. It has to be very close to the interstate. It has to provide food, restrooms, something to do, convenience stores, those kind of things within a walking distance. And so in working with those different entities, we couldn't get there last year, but what we did last year helped this year, so it sped it up. This year we were able to get an agreement with Tariq, that is the owner of the travel plaza there. He is willing to let us put, it will just be one charging station where you can just charge one vehicle at a time. However, I did some research, and about somewhere between 80 and 90% of the electric vehicles on the road are Tesla. So when you compare, the Tesla station has, I think, 5 charging stations, and this is one, but that works out about right. If you're comparing that. Additionally, if you are wondering why we chose EV Connect, that is actually a state bid. There were 4 state bids for people that do, or companies that do the charging stations. However, when we started checking into those, this was the only one that would do a project this small. Most of them want to do large projects. And we just didn't feel right now we had the need for that. Of course, if it would take off and some years down the road, it can always be expanded upon. But at this time, it wasn't cost effective for us to put that kind of money into it. The amount, even though it's an 80-20 grant, if you divide out the amount of money allowed and the number they want to put in, we're right now about at the maximum we were going to get from it anyway. So we're excited about it. We actually just got all the signatures and got it finalized today, and I did get it submitted before 5. But because we were on such a tight time frame, that's why really there wasn't the opportunity to bring it to council prior to. But of course, you'll still get the opportunity for it to come back, because this is just saying we applied for the grant. If it comes back to us, then the council can approve it and approve everything that goes along with that if you so choose.
Hey, Dixie, I have one quick question.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is still the case, but I believe both the convenience stores on each side of I-35 there were owned by the same person.
Yes, that's
Is that
correct.
still the same case? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Would it be possible to see if he would be okay with that on the other property, just so we have one on each side of I-35? Or
Well, we can't do 2 for the money. We can only do 1. And the reason this location was chosen is not only do we have a convenience store, we have McDonald's and Brahms within walking distance and the museum. So that gives us a place to say they can get entertainment as well as food, all that within walking distance. If you go to the other side, like I said, we can only do 1 on the money. You're going to lose all of that, and that gives us our points.
yeah, and I didn't mean 2. I just meant 1, and I didn't know if we could put the 1 on the other side, but okay.
I mean, we could apply for the other side, but
I get
it's
it.
not going to give us the points.
Is this charging station free, or do they have to pay?
They have to pay.
Okay.
That would be something else that would have to come back to council, because if and when we get that, we would have to set the rates.
And we would be responsible for the upkeep of it.
No, well, the company, the EV Connect, we would have it's per the grant, it's required to have a 5-year warranty and a 5-year contract, and that's all part of the money that we're applying for. There is they would even run the credit cards through their system, do all of that. There would be 2 ways of paying. They have their app that you can put your credit card number in, and if you travel and you have that app, you'd know where to find those. But there would also be a card swipe there on the site so that you could pay in that way as well. But the city would set the price.
Would this particular charging station have the 2 levels of charging? There's like a fast charge and then like a super fast charge, or is it just, or do we know?
It's a fast charge, but it has the 2 different, and you have a car that uses these, you probably know more than I do, but the 2 different types of charging plug-ins for whichever kind of vehicle you have, it has those, and it's a fast charge.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Dixie?
Hey, Dixie, thank you so much for doing all that work. I think it's a good project. I'll make a motion to approve, as stated here, is the submission of the grant.
Great. I second your vote.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Coldarn.
Thank you, and yes.
Dilbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrill.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes. Thank you, Dixie.
Streller.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all. It was a pleasure to do that, and I'm excited about it.
I got a message. I don't know if all you guys can see or not, but I got a message back from Jennifer, the lady of the ducks, and she wanted to make sure to tell everyone thank you for supporting that question. Item number 17, discuss the COVID-19 pandemic. Council, has anyone got anything they want to discuss this evening about our situation?
Do you know what our latest number is?
I haven't seen an email. Larry, have we got an email?
7 in Perry, 17 in Noble County.
Well, I wanted to bring it to council's attention. Pastor Brett Nation has emailed, or I think it was a text, maybe text me and Larry, or maybe it was an email, I don't remember. But anyway, he's offering his church, if the council would like to come together and meet as a council. His sanctuary is big enough to spread out, and they have the pen out there. Tyson may not want me to say that, but he's got me quite set up here. But anyway, if we could come back together soon as a council, I believe that the community would appreciate that. And there's also room there so that the public could be there and could be spread out in that scenario. I do know there are some councils around that, have never quit. I know there's some councils that have picked back up, but that is a decision for our council to make now or later, whatever y'all want to do. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that Brett Nation has offered that, and I admire him for stepping forward and offering something to the city that could be useful to us.
I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Nations and Pastor Nations, and but I also don't know. I mean, I think that we've had better community involvement in our meetings since we've been doing this than what we had together. And I'm not saying being in the room together is not a good thing either, but I'd also say that there is a whole nother issue. Although I am a Christian and everything, but having our council meetings in a church may not be a thing that would be seen as good from some in the community, and several other things that might be of issue there. But I do appreciate the offer, and that's my opinion.
Well, I believe in this day and time, churches are used for a multitude of things. And Mr. Ahern, he has a facility over there that's used for a multitude of things. And I respectfully, Derek, disagree with what you say. I don't believe that would be a hindrance at all to have a council meeting there. And it's just me personally. I know a lot of you have been not back to work or barely to work. I've never missed a day of work because of this. And I'm all over the place. I'm not confined to one area. I think at some point in time, very near, we should resume our council. It's just my opinion, though.
Would you disagree, though, that we've had better participation in our meetings online? I mean, every meeting we've had 20 or more, it seems like, and I haven't kept numbers, but to me, it seems like while this is a allowed deal, that the more people we have involved from the community, the better.
Yeah, I believe you're accurate. There has been some on here, but this was never in the intent of a council, the way for us to conduct business. So it is different. It's just of my opinion that we should be meeting in person as a council.
We will only be allowed to do this regular meetings 4 more times. That's another meeting in September, 2 meetings in October, and 1 meeting in November. Our last meeting would be November 2nd. The next meeting is the 16th. And this drops off on the 15th, November 15th, unless the governor causes it to drop off earlier or unless there's an extension filed. I did have the opportunity to talk to Tyson, and of course, he'll do whatever he says. He did say that it did provide some difficulties, but those are just 2 other facts. At the most, right now under existing law, you're only going to be able to do this 4 more times, regular meetings.
So even if we end up going back, when we end up going back to our normal meetings, is it possible to make it available to our citizens so that they could still get online and still be able to ask questions or reply to things?
But certainly that's a question for Tyson, and the answer to that is, of course, that's using technology for folks not having to come to the meeting, but where they could Zoom and we could call them up to a screen. As long as that's technically able through our facilities, that could be done. I guess Tyson could answer that.
I think there's some costs that would be incurred
to
make sure that everybody can see the screens and things like that. But go ahead, Tyson.
You want to participate? Oh, he's not on. Here, he can talk to you. Here.
I hope you sanitize that headset before you start talking in it.
I've been sitting next to him for months now. If he's going to give it to me, I've already got it, and vice versa. It's not that it couldn't be done. There would be a lot of technical challenges to overcome. And if that is something that the council wants to see forward, it would be nice to know sooner rather than later so that we could start preparing for that, because there is going to be some costs involved. Our system at present is not capable of doing that. So we would have to buy some additional equipment and make some additional arrangements for that.
Hey Tyson, can I ask you to please maybe put those dollars together and everything, and that maybe and I do want to thank you for everything that you've done.
Sure.
All the hard work that, or extra work that you've had to put in, but if you could get those dollars put together, and then maybe if we only have 4 left, let's continue what we're doing for 4 and see what, what comes from the next time we talk.
I can absolutely do that.
I will tell you there's still an ability to social distance after November 15th, but it has to be done within the city of Perry, and it has to be done in a location where the public can come be with you, come be with you, Derek, if they wanted to see you participate. So there is another section, but I don't think anybody would be interested in necessarily doing that. And it's pretty tough, but that did get adopted, and that doesn't have a sunset clause.
Bryce, would you mind repeating just that what you just said just now? What doesn't have a sunset clause? Because Tyson had my head.
Well, I'm sorry. There's another provision that does allow some social distancing. But for instance, the councilman has to be in Perry, and they have to be at a place that would allow members of the public to come hang with them while they're social distancing. So, I mean, the reason for the rule doesn't really exist with COVID, but you don't know what the governor. He may extend it, but we have 4 more meetings as it currently stands.
Which also provides other technical difficulties if we had each council person in a different location and everything else. But
and you have to be in the city of Perry. So I mean, yeah.
And Bill, I do want, I thought about it. You couldn't hear what I said, but I had asked Tyson to please get those dollars together for us of what it may require to allow people to join through Zoom or whatever direction we go. And then for them, but I also suggested that we have the next 4 more meetings while we gather those dollars, just like we have been.
Well, yeah, Derek, I'm fine with that. I just meant at some point we'll be required to give it up. Any other discussion, council, on item 17? Seeing none. Item 18, any new business that needs to come before the council this evening? Item 19, motion on the adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Coldern. Coldern.
Derek. Oh, there you are.
Yes.
Dillbeck.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrill.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Thank you, council.